indeed that. Barry Manilow composition, aided and abetted by Dusty on imaginary timbales, or whatever you call them, doing that little last chord on the end. That was Sandra, and a very nice choice of music. Talking about the choice of music, Dusty, who was responsible basically for getting the actual sounds that are on the album together?
I'd say it was, well, most certainly it's Roy's production. I wouldn't take any of it away from
Roy Thomas
Roy
Baker.
Thomas Baker, yeah.
Who's your producer?
I really trusted him a great deal. The choice of material was very much mutual. I had, most of it I'd say that I had found already. Roy came up with a couple of excellent things. That last one on side 2, That's the Kind of Love I Got For You.
That's an amazing disco sort of thing, which we're
jolly.
going to play later.
Good,
It's
yeah,
a
it's
knockout
fun.
number, that actually.
Overall, I would say it was mutual.
Well, this is what interests me. This is obviously, as all your other albums were important to you, but this is especially important in Great Britain now. It's the relaunch of your career in many ways, which you might think you're relaunching, but I still believe has been there all the time, even though you've been away.
I'm glad. That's nice, because people tell me that people have played records, and I know that you have, and I think that's helped a great deal. It helped me a great deal.
But keeping you alive while you're in the States.
Just buzzing along, which is nice, just murmuring along.
But when you're getting such an important album together, there must be a hell of a lot of pressure on you to make sure you choose the right music. Now, in your attitude towards the choice of the music, what were you looking for? Were you looking for a specific type of music?
Something that sounded right. It's funny. People say, well, do you have a concept for the album, or what direction are you going in? And I would sit there with an open mouth going, because, no, neither of us had any real idea.
Yeah, perhaps I'm saying that wrong. What I'm trying to find out is whether in the choice of the album material you were positively trying to get away from stuff you'd done before.
Yeah, I mean, if something really sounded like a 1964 Italian ballad, it was dropped immediately, no matter how good it was.
Making reference to a number which didn't do
badly at all, but it would be pointless to do it now. I mean, I'll go on singing that for the rest of my life, but not a new one, that's quite enough. It's hard enough to sing that one. But no, what worked for Roy and I was just finding songs that sounded right, and it didn't matter. It really, we've got a lot more songs than finished up on the album. We didn't record them, but we would have an A list and a B list and a C list and juggle them around until we found what seemed to be the most substantial mixture. It's odd because it is a mixture.
Yeah.
There's no, it's just a wonderful hodgepodge of different styles.
There's a couple of disco sounds. Certainly That's the Kind of Love I've Got For You, which we've just mentioned before, is a really up-tempo, nice thing, with an amazing phasing effect on your voice as well,
yes, that was
me on a lot.
Yeah, I like Checkmate too, which is the second one on side 1. This was written by a friend of mine, Nona Hendricks, who was one of LaBelle at one time, who was now on her own. And she's a very good songwriter. It's an interesting construction of the song.
Construction is what we're going to get into as well, because you're obviously involved in a lot of... you could be a construction worker.
Yeah, I'm Irish after all, yeah, right. Yeah. Where's me at?
Well, I'll tell you what about a break for someone else's music now, because we'll be playing a lot of yours. You've chosen now the OJs.
No, they're great. They're
Any particular reason for the OJs?
They're just terrific. It's as
Fond
simple
memories.
as that. They're just really good.
Okie dokie, here are the Backstabbers.
Yeah.
OJs and Backstabbers. Is that the sort of number you'd like to do in a show sometime?
Well, I'd like to do a record like that. It's just so well put together.
Yeah. What about stage shows and things? You must have done a lot of those in the States.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, not at all.
Ah.
I didn't want to.
So what did you do with yourself then? Don't tell me you were sat on your bum for 4 years in the States doing nothing.
No, I was getting rid of a lot of things I didn't want to be involved with, which took a long time, and then putting it all back together again. It took nearly 4 years to do all that.
When you look
Exhausted.
When you look back, and we have to look back at some point to that little Italian song, for instance, which was perhaps your biggest ever, and I still recall the Italian title of it, which was Loce no vivo senza te.
Yeah, io che non vivo più un'ora senza te, yeah.
Oh, well, you say it better than I do.
Something like that.
Italian blood in you. We are, of course, talking about You Don't Have to
Say You, whatever, yes.
Now, how do you look back on that song now?
Oh,
what does it
with exhaustion. Well, I wish you had the Italian version of it, actually. It was a terrific song. I heard it at the San Remo Festival in Italian by a singer called Pino Donaggio. And he wrote the song. I just fell madly in love with it, and I said, got to have that song, and never sort of sat on it for a year without any English lyrics. And didn't forget about it, but it just didn't come up. It wasn't the right time for it. And then eventually just said to a friend, I really want to do this rather quickly, so can you write some lyrics?
I fall back on that because that was a perfect example of you doing something at that time which was not really the normal run-of-the-mill thing for a lady singer to do. I mean, there weren't that many girl singers who could attack the charts with a number like that at that period. What I'm trying to do
that's true. I suppose that's true.
I'm establishing your individuality at that time and wanting to see how far that individuality
there were all sorts of things that I suppose in the early days it was quite a shock to the English system because I did have a fairly strong approach.
Do you think this is perhaps what's upheld your name and your image in Great Britain, even though you've been away this time, the fact that you were that little bit forward?
Well, yes, it was hardly insipid, so it presumably had some effect. It was like a culture shock.
It wasn't wallpaper music, yes.
No, good or bad, it was loud.
Loud? I don't think that was all important, particularly. Well, the new album, again, it's called It Begins Again, is in a way a new start for you. There's photographs of you, the like of which I've never seen before, because you physically have changed.
Yeah,
the old mascara has gone. Now,
it's around. It's just more subtle.
Yes, more moderate than it was before. I mean, do you feel now, as far as Great Britain is concerned, that you are embarking somewhat on a new career? We did touch on this briefly at the beginning, but does it feel to you that you're coming back home, or does it feel that you're coming back and hopefully...
It's a double. It's partly a feel that it's an extension of what was, without a reliance on what was. I'm very glad for what I had before, because I wouldn't like to start all over again. So essentially, it really isn't a start over. I mean, things would be quite different. I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now if I was starting anew and never been heard of before. Yeah. It's a different feeling. There's I feel an affection from people, and I feel an affection for them here. And that is very warming for me, and it makes it feel right, and it makes me look forward to doing it.
Good. We're going to touch on that track and play, in fact, the track now that we mentioned before. That's The Kind of Love I've Got For You, which is funky. It's got, as I said, this phasing on the voice, which is amazing.
Lots of heavy breathing.
And it's very sort of spacey and things like that. Now, did you put this in the album because you felt you should put something disco-y in, or because you just felt the song was dead right?
I heard it was on a demo sent to Roy, and he played it for me, and he was delighted with it. It took me a couple of plays to see its potential. I thought it was repetitive, which it is, but that's the whole point of it. And we added bits on the beginning, all those crazy noises and things, because that's his favourite thing to do.
All right, crazy noises and all, here it is. That's The Kind of Love I've Got For You. And, dear listener, do take particular note of Dusty's voice on this track, because what they've done to it, I do not know, but it's good. From the new album by Dusty Springfield, who is our guest on tonight's programme, the very first playing of the new album on British radio here on the DLT programme, and that was called That's the Kind of Love I've Got For You. Back with Dusty in a second after we give you Motorist the lowdown on what the weather's going to be like. Time to go home with us on Radio 1. It's time. Dusty is finding it rather amusing that I could actually keep going and doing all that without falling over myself, didn't you, my dear?
Yes, it's very funny. I'm sorry for those people who are in the mile-long traffic jam and also wading their way through the burst water lane.
Yes, it's not nice, really, is it?
No.
Anyway, to our drivers, wish you a safe evening's driving. Dusty, we now come to a piece of music. We're going straight to a piece of music now, because I must confess that of all the music we've talked about, that's your favourite, apart from your own music, of course, the choice of the next piece is, well, I don't know, I look upon it with... it could only have been chosen by a lady of great taste, and I hope it doesn't feel that,
I'm really glad that you arrived at that conclusion. I thought about this long and hard.
There are not many...
Not everyone really appreciates this kind of thing.
When there are singers of sort of talents which are spread around the world as much as yours have, it must be very hard to announce to the public you're going to choose a particular type of music as one of your very favourite pieces.
Yes,
And I think you've just excelled yourself with this next one.
Thank you.
Shall we play it for the people?
Yes.
Because it really is something else.
Good.
Dabba from your dabba to your feet. Dressed in style, brand new tile, and your father's old green tie on. I wouldn't give it something for your old one saying, old iron, old iron. Cool. Oh, mate, I've been spun.
Yes, well...
Bond. I haven't heard that in a long time.
You are obviously a Goon Show fan as well, Dusty. You've got to be. That was for lovers of good music.
Everywhere.
Sellers with the Mates Buffalo group featuring Fred Spoons, produced by George Martin, and it was Any Old Iron.
Can you believe that George Martin produced that?
I can believe it, actually. Yes, knowing his stuff. Now then, we get back to your music and the new album once again. We're going to play a track next, which is a nice up-tempo sound, which is called I Found Love With You.
All right.
I did want to touch on something earlier on, that there is an overall sound to a good record. I'm sure you'll agree. Even sometimes when you don't hear the words, there's an overall sound. When you come to choose music for an album or a single or anything else, you personally, do you tend to go onto the side of the lyrics, to the side of the overall sound, or
sound?
The both of them?
It's an instinctive thing. It's one wouldn't think that there would be a great deal of continuity with all these songs, but that says a lot for Roy that he made it so. He made a continuity out of it, this hodgepodge of styles.
Yeah.
Mainly because he likes a certain drum sound and a certain rhythm sound, so there's an overall stamp on this incredible mixture.
But obviously, if you can get that overall sound plus the right lyrics, that's going to make a bombshell of a song.
Yeah, because this next track, I mean, the lyrics are not important on this next one. It's just the overall sound, I think, is nice and jolly.
Alrighty, jolly sound coming up from Dusty's new album called I Found Love With You. This is National Radio 1, 9.5 minutes after 5 on the DLT programme. This is sorry, I've got it wrong. This is Dave Lee Travis sitting in for Kid Jensen, who's sitting in for DLT, just casually, because one of my favourite ladies is with me, Dusty, and with a mate. We played a few different tracks from your album, and there will be more to come, I can tell all the fans. But if there are, and I know there are a lot of Dusty Springfield fans listening in now, the people who've supported you all through the years and the time you've been away, what they are probably saying to themselves, it's all right, that airy monster talking to her and saying what nice things about her and all that, but what we want to know, mate, is if we pay out a couple of quid, can we go down to local gaff and see her working again? So I want an answer to that question. Will they be able to come and see you again?
Well, not immediately.
No, of course not.
No, but yes.
Soon.
But I don't know what soon would determine.
I mean, what are your plans for the near future? Are you going to come back to Great Britain to live here, perhaps?
Not soon. I just got organised in Los Angeles eventually, but it doesn't mean because I live in Los Angeles that I won't be here.
Yeah.
Because it is possible to be in...
It just twist my left leg if I ask you the wrong question, dear, all right?
It's all right, my dear.
So, you are still, at the moment, planning to stay around in L.A.?
Yeah.
As a permanent resident, but hopefully...
Well, it's a home base for the time being. I don't think in large lumps of time. At this minute, that's where I live. Tomorrow I might think differently.
Wouldn't I be right in just suspecting that should your single take off, which I have every belief in it doing so, and your album following that it just might sway your decision slightly?
Well, obviously, yes, it would. One of the intriguing...
I know a couple of good decorators.
Yeah, one of the intriguing things is it's being released simultaneously here and there.
Yeah, right.
So it's going to be one of those split it down the middle numbers.
All right, well, we'll split down the middle now and listen to another lady that you admire, and I do too, Natalie Cole. We have an EP of hers now, and I know you're going to enjoy this as much as me. It's Sophisticated Lady. You have become more sophisticated, haven't you, in the past few years? Because your clothes, I must, for the young ladies who are listening, it's a pity it's not television, very most unusual sort of cape-type dress. Bat wings and things like that. You got into all the fashion things over there in the States and what have you?
Well, yeah, they used to be very much behind London, but they sort of catching up. Los Angeles is catching up. It took it a long time. Because New York was always fairly crazy. Yeah. But Los Angeles was basically very conservative.
Well, just briefly for people who might... I mean, there's nothing to do with the record career or anything. Just an interesting point. You've lived there for 4 years now. What is there in the States, if there's anybody here who fancies going over there, that they could look forward to that's any different, apart from the obvious like sunshine, and if you get hit by a car, you get hit faster?
I think, well, yes, that's right, more thoroughly. If you're prepared to put up with the fact that things take more time as regards just going to the shops, the choice and the selections are much larger, and they stay open later, and I mean that's not a reason for going to live anywhere. But the conveniences, it's like if I could take all the conveniences of California and put them in the middle of Gloucestershire, I'd be back like a shot.
Yeah. It must have turned your head a little bit. I know what it's like from 10 years ago when I went.
It's really, you can get very spoiled. Yeah. But it's just, it's not really getting spoiled, you just get used to it. It's a way of life. It's very different.
Right. Well, let's come back to the album again, and a track on there which is written by Carol Bayer-Sager called I'd Rather Leave While I'm in Love. When we spoke on the phone to you in Los Angeles the other week, you mentioned that you decided to put this on before it ever was a hit over here.
Yes, I didn't know it was even released over here.
Did you know how it became released over here?
No, I didn't.
I'll tell you. We had Carol in the studio here, and it was just after she'd had a big hit record, of course, with
Moving Out.
Folks, Get Out of My House Immediately. And we were talking about records, and we were playing that track from the album, and we were saying that should be released as a single. And Carol said on the program, no, they don't want to release that. And we said on the air sort of thing, you must release that.
Yeah.
And it did. So we were quite pleased about that we had a slight hand in it.
Yeah.
But so it must prove to a point that great minds, i.e. yours and mine, and kids as well, because he liked it as well, we're thinking along the same lines at that period of time.
It's a quite a touching song. You know, I love the way she did it, which is where I first heard it.
So you heard her version?
I heard her version before it. I mean, it was like a demo thing. I didn't hear the LP version, and it was certainly not. You know, I never knew it would be a single or anything. It was just a part of the collection of songs.
I was just going to say, would you have
seen it? Peter Allen actually wrote, I think probably wrote the music, and Carol wrote the lyrics.
Yeah. All righty. Well, we'll listen to your version now of that very lovely song, the Carol Bayer song called I'd Rather Leave While I'm in Love. I'd rather leave while I'm in love. I'm going on. That's a good song, and very well sung by yourself, lady. It makes me think that perhaps you may have been tempted in the past to do some songwriting yourself. Have you not been really
Well, in the very early days, I wrote a couple of B-sides, which was nice. But I'm really not a natural songwriter at all. I have to be locked up for about 6 weeks to produce a few lines. Perhaps if I get around to being locked up for a few weeks, then I can produce.
Yeah, because it must be a temptation to somebody who is a big selling artist to actually write some of the music themselves. And
I've got one halfway through, so I might sort of finish it off, because it really is quite a good song. I mean, it's strong. It's not just sort of something to fill up space.
But it's obviously a right decision for you at this moment not to concentrate too much on songwriting.
No, I mean, it would have been so easy to have sung one on this first album, but it might not have been strong enough, so I'm not really into doing things like that. Maybe on the second one, when I've got a bit more confidence in my writing.
Would you like to think that the new album, It Begins Again, which incidentally is being released on February the 10th,
yes.
if my memory serves me correctly, yes. Would you like to see everything on that a potential single? Is that your attitude towards an album? Or do you think it should just be your own feelings, whether commercial in your mind or not?
I don't think Roy and I approached it in that way. It's just to make everything as good as we possibly could.
I might add at this point that I think it's both commercial and individual, so that to me is the best thing you can have about an album.
Well, that's what
but then
I
I'm
was
biased.
hoping.
I'm biased.
Well, I was hoping you'd say that, because that's what I was aiming for, so I'm pleased that you see it that way.
Well, we're going to have another track, one of your favourites from the album, in a few minutes' time, but we're going to take a break for, again, someone else's music, that it happens to be some of your favourites. And what have you chosen for us this time?
I think you've got this stylistics there, haven't you?
Oh, mate, you think right. It's
a stylistic one. Okay, You Are Everything.
Say again, You Are Everything.
You are everything. Here's Schmaltz.
Just after 5 here on the DLT program, coming at you from Radio 1 with our guest in the studio for not much longer, unfortunately, the lovely Dusty Springfield. And that was one of your favourites. And may I just tell you, listeners, that I know you haven't heard any of the old stuff of Dusty's, but we just felt that it was better to concentrate on the new album, because that is what Dusty is about today. Although we're not going to forget the old stuff, of course. I still go back and I will play
some of it I wouldn't mind forgetting. Most of it I'm very, very grateful
for. Here with an old photograph of her on it, mate.
Blackmail, yeah.
Now then, before we go into our very last piece of music, Dusty, just a précis on what is liable to happen. First of all, we will see you on Top of the Pops television, I'm sure. We will, won't you?
Yes, definitely.
Next week. How long are you actually in Great Britain for now?
Till the end of next week.
Anything specific you're doing, or are you just coming over?
Talking a lot, as you can hear. Doing a lot of interviews and things like that.
So you will take our love back to America with you? A little bit more than you sort of
I will feel very good about going back, because it's so far it's been an extremely nice time for me here, and I hope it will continue to be so. Everyone's been really nice to me, and I love it.
Well, you see, we missed you. That's what it is.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we're going into a track now, which is one of your favourites, I know, Checkmate. Can you tell us a little bit about this track, perhaps, why you've chosen that one?
When Nona Hendrix was still with La Belle, she sent me sort of garbled tape made in some rehearsal hall. This was a couple of years ago. And I never could quite make out what it was, but I thought it was a very attractive song. And I kept it. In fact, I lost it. And when Roy came over, I searched the whole house through to find it, and eventually found it. And it seemed as though he and I were the only ones that liked it. Nobody could see it the way I saw it being finished, you know, the sound that I wanted on it. And it turned out very much the way I had visualized it. I'm quite happy with it.
All right, well, we'll finish off our little section with you now by playing Checkmate and saying, Dusty, thank you very much for popping in to see us.
And nice.
Giving us the first thrash at you, as it were.
Thanks for coming.
We wish you all the best with the album. As we've already said, the title of it begins again. The single, of course, has been out for a little while now, a matter of a week or so. A Love Like Yours. Best wishes with both of them.
Thanks,
and as I said, take our love back from everyone at Radio 1, all your listeners and fans.
Look after your knee.
Oh, look after my knee, mate. Would you kiss my knee before you go?
Oh, I don't know. Don't take any photographs.
Thanks, Dusty.
All right.